All right, so this is another movie review. This one's called Cobra, 1986. This is going to be another Korean recommendation. And there's the infamous poster. Stallone looking tough with a laser beam coming out of his machine gun. Crime as a disease, meet the cure. Stallone Cobra, the strong arm of the law. Yes, we have a Dirty Harry ripoff. Stallone plays Barty Fife to the max. Shoot first, ask questions later. In other words, innocence until proven guilty is thrown out the window because the judges are corrupt too. They send people to the loony bin instead of jail. So therefore, Stallone has to be judge, jury, and executioner all at the same time because he's a tough guy. He wears cool-looking sunglasses. He's got the 80s hairdo and the stubble beard from the previous weekend. And he's got a toothpick like Kojak. This is going to be another canon flick. I'm giving this 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was all right. I was disappointed. The theatrical poster is way overhyped. As a matter of fact, Rambo Raff for Life puts it in every single one of his videos. You can see it in the background in every single videos going back 15 years or whatever. Cobra is a 1986 U.S. action drama film directed by George P. Cosmatos and written by Sylvester Stallone. I forgot to give him writing credits. Oh, Karate Man's in the chat room. He's not going to like this review. One of the greatest action movies of all time. One of my favorite Stallone movies. Of course, because Karate Man is a former Rambo Raff for Life fan. He jumped ship and he joined my channel. All right. Written by Sylvester Stallone. All right. Disappointed. This is just pure awesomeness. Anyway, we got your opinions. See, at least I can accept opinions. Well, that's good. I was expecting this to be badass, as Karate Man described it, but as soon as Brigitte Nielsen entered the movie, I noticed that it was less dark, less dystopian. I didn't feel like there was crime everywhere. It just looked like Christmas time in some little town. Oh, this is going to be another canon flick, by the way, in case I didn't mention that. I think this is Stallone's only canon movie. His first and only canon movie. And I may be mistaken. There might be another arm wrestling one. I can't remember. Warner Brothers owns the rights to Cobra, even though Canon produced it. That makes sense. All right. So, the film, loosely based on the 1974 novel A Running Duck by Paula Gosling, later published as Fair Game, and filmed under the title in 1995. Talk about disappointment. And Andrew Robinson, the original villain from Dirty Harry. He plays some ACLU friendly cop who loves to coddle the criminals. And Sylvester Stallone assaults him at the end for being a card-carrying member of the ACLU and working on the police force, the LAPD. Cobra follows LAPD Lieutenant Marion Cobra Cobretti. What a name. Who investigates a string of violent crimes, and he also protects a witness targeted by the perpetrators. So Stallone and Brigitte Nielsen must have a lot of off-screen sex here, because Brigitte Nielsen doesn't get naked once, and you can see they're very intimate. They're riding a motorcycle, they're kissing on the lips. Cobra is the final film, which featured the collaboration between Stallone and Nielsen after Rocky IV, 1985, and until Creed II, 2018. And the only film the pair are both featured in while married to one another in real life before their divorce a year later. Well, that was a quickie marriage, 1 year. That sounds like Britney Spears' marriage. The script was largely inspired by Stallone's original script for Beverly Hills Cop, 1984. And here I thought all along it was a ripoff on Dirty Harry. Cobra was released to generally negative reviews with criticism on its excessive violence and overuse of genre tropes, but it was a box office success, and it also has since been considered a cult classic. That's why you have people like Karate Man and Rambo Raff for Life promoting this film, because it's a canon flick. It's got a cult following. Production company, the Cannon Group, distributed by Warner Brothers. Release date, May 23rd, 1986. Running time, 89 minutes. Country, United States. Language, English. Budget, $25 million. Box office, a whopping $160 million. This is way more popular than it is in terms of actual movie review criticism evaluation of the film. When a mass shooting at a Los Angeles supermarket evolves into a hostage crisis, the LAPD summons Lieutenant Marion Cobretti of their elite zombie squad to resolve the incident. Cobretti, nicknamed Cobra, confronts the shooter, who espouses social Darwinist ideals and mentions a new world. So here's the thing. You've got Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer blowing up supermarkets and hospitals and stuff because they want to unleash a new world. Sounds like New World Order, but they left the order out, and it's just called New World. Cobretti kills him before he can execute a group of hostages. Detective Monty reprimands Cobretti for disregarding police procedure. This Detective Monty is the serial killer from the sniper dude from Dirty Harry. I recognize his face right off the bat. He reprimands Cobretti for disregarding police procedure, and Cobretti admonishes a group of reporters for not prioritizing the safety of potential victims. So here we have a police LAPD guy whose disregard for basic fundamental legal protocol is made obvious by his light of a match on this dude while he says, "You have the right to remain silent." Unbeknownst to the authorities, the supermarket incident is part of a string of violent crimes committed by the New World, a social Darwinist cult that despises modern society, and it believes in killing the weak, leaving only the strongest and smartest to rule. Well, that's intelligent. just shoot up a bunch of random uh, random supermarket customers. Sounds like the Unabomber dude. All right. Ingrid Knudsen, a local model and businesswoman, played by the great uh, Brigitte Nielsen, who doesn't get naked, but she's got a nice frizzy perm hairdo. A local model and businesswoman, she becomes the new world's priority target after she witnesses a group and their leader, Night Slasher, on a killing spree. Knudsen is placed under the protective custody of Cobretti and his partner, Sergeant Tony Gonzalez, following an attempt on her life. After more attempts to kill Knudsen and Cobretti theorizes that an organization is behind this, but his theory is rebuffed by his superiors. Cobretti and Gonzalez leave with Knudsen to the small town of San Ramos, where Cobretti and Knudsen fall in love. This is the low point of the movie right here. You're expecting some nudity, some action, and there is none. There is absolutely none. Nancy Stalk, an LAPD officer and New World's second in command, infiltrates the police escort. Despite not trusting Stalk, Cobretti does nothing, and the group spends the night in a motel. At dawn, the New World arrives in San Ramos on motorcycles, and they besiege the town on Stalk's instructions. In a shootout, Cobretti kills many cultists, but Gonzalez is wounded. Cobretti and Knudsen flee in a pickup truck, which the cultists wreck with a roadblock. The pair flee to a steel mill, where Cobretti defeats the rest of the cultists, and Stalk is accidentally shot by the Night Slasher. Cobretti fights with the Night Slasher in a hand-to-hand combat, and he impales him on a hook that drags him into a furnace. The California Highway Patrol secures San Ramos, and they rescue Gonzalez. As Cobretti is cleared by his superiors, Monty initially appears apologetic, only to again chastise Cobretti for overdoing it. Of course. And I probably already spoiled the ending, but you get where this is going. You've got the criminal coddling ACLU guy stereotype who happens to belong to the LAPD. And then you've got Stallone, who has no regard for defendant rights whatsoever. He's the judge, jury, and executioner of everything. And his motto is, Barney Fife, shoot first, ask questions later. I did like the beginning of the movie. It was sort of dark and dystopian. And you got the idea that there was actually crime all over the place. But then you go into the small town, San Ramos, and the whole thing changes. It's daylight all the time, no more night scenes. And it just looks like a normal town. Anyways, I think Brigitte Nielsen really ruined this movie. I really do. I mean, as pretty as she is with her hairdo and everything, I think she ruined this movie. And what else was I going to say? Oh, well, that's just my 2 cents worth nothing after inflation. When Sylvester Stallone was signed to play the lead in Beverly Hills Cop, he decided to rewrite the script almost completely, removing nearly all the comedic aspects and turning it into an action movie that he felt was better suited to him, because he's number one action guy right up there with Schwarzenegger. The studio read his revised script and they rejected it. The proposed action scenes would have increased the budget far beyond what they had planned. Stallone later channeled his ideas for it into an original script. When Stallone left Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy was brought in to play the lead role, and the rest is history. The novel A Running Duck by Paula Gosling was cited as source material, enough so that she received a screen credit. Sylvester Stallone earlier draft of the script contained many differences from later drafts and the final film. These include the opening shootout taking place in a movie theater instead of a supermarket, during which many more people are killed. Cobra mentioning how he had a girlfriend who was killed by a psychopath he was trying to catch, an additional nighttime action sequence on a boat where Cobra and Ingrid are hiding and are attacked by the night slashers cultists, with Cobra and Gonzalez managing to kill them all, and a different ending in which Monty, revealed to be the actual leader of the New World, attempts to kill Ingrid at the last second before being killed by Cobretti. This earlier draft would have actually been a better movie, I think. The line, this is where the law stops and I start, sucker. In other words, screw the law, I'm the law now. Screw the old law, I'm the new law now. He thinks Stallone thinks he's the redeemer of humankind here. Was inspired by a line spoken by Steve McQueen in The Reavers. Cobra needed much additional editing because the film was so graphically violent that it originally received an X rating. It was edited to receive an R rating. I want to see the X-rated version, please. Brian Thompson auditioned 7 times before he was hired. On the 4th audition, he met Stallone, who thought that Thompson was too nice to play the night slasher. But after a screen test, he immediately got the job. Also in the original script, the night slasher was called Abaddon, possibly after the angel of the abyss from the Bible. Thompson repeatedly sought Stallone's advice about how to play the night slasher, including questions about his background and personal motivations. But Stallone showed no interest in the subject, and he told Thompson that the character was simply evil. In an unfortunate surprise for Thompson, after filming was completed, director Cosmatos unexpectedly told him, "You could have been good if you had listened to me." Stallone acknowledged Dirty Harry as an influence, and Cobra reunited 2 actors from the film, Reni Santoni and Andy Robinson. So I forgot to put Reni Santoni in the movie credits. Cobra is one of the only Canon movies to not feature the Canon logo. Instead, it was the Warner Brothers logo. But hey, at least it's got Menahem Golan Urim Globus Canon Films written in the credits. This is an action-packed thrill ride. It wasn't too action-packed in the middle, dude. They're just driving in a car and playing cutesy with each other. Brian Thompson, who plays the main villain, Night Slasher, he is the same guy who played one of the thugs in the first Terminator. When Arnold is naked, knocks out the thugs. One of them is Brian Thompson. Okay. So I've got to include Brian Thompson now in the description, as well as Reni Santoni. The minute I saw Andrew Robinson, I knew this was going to be a ripoff on Dirty Harry. Because the Harry Callahan character is just like Stallone, but maybe not as hell-bent on destroying constitutional rights or human rights or civil rights, whatever you want to call it. Natural rights. Brigitte Nielsen, Stallone's then wife, who he met filming Rocky IV, was cast as Ingrid Knudsen. Originally, Cobra was supposed to be filmed in Seattle, climaxing with the motorcycle chase scene on a ferry between the islands. Even though everything was prepared to start filming, the final theatrical version of the scene at night, Stallone demanded the ending be changed because of the mosquito problem at the time, which would have made night filming very difficult to endure. The supporting cast and extras were forbidden from talking to Stallone on the set. Oh, what an important guy. At one point during filming, Stallone complained to cinematographer Rick Waite that they were falling behind and that he needed to push his crew to work harder. Waite responded by telling Stallone that the delays were due to his fooling around with Brigitte Nielsen and showing off for his bodyguards. Although Stallone was shocked that somebody would talk to him that way, he cleared up his act and he behaved more professionally, although he returned to his old egocentric behavior a few weeks later. Waite later said in an interview that despite his huge ego, Stallone had a great sense of humor. He said George P. Cosmatos would have made a great producer, but he was a terrible director. That sounds about right. During a stunt scene, driver Kerry Rosal and another stuntman were injured after Rosal intentionally crashed the van into a wall. Nielsen was nearly hit by the van during a previous take. For the Night Slasher's monologue in the lead up to the final fight, Brian Thompson did the scene with the script supervisor standing in for Stallone, who was busy watching a basketball game on TV. The custom 1950 Mercury, driven by Corbetti, was actually owned by Sylvester Stallone. So he's got his own favorite car in this movie. And it looks pretty cool, too. I didn't know cops owned this kind of car. I've never seen that before. The studio produced stunt doubles of the car for use in some of the action sequences, such as the jump from the second floor of the parking garage. The production built 3 Cobra cars for stunt work. Although they were identical on the outside, their moving parts were designed for specific sequences, including high-speed swipes with other vehicles, 180-degree turns, jumps, and 360-degree spins. The knife used by the Night Slasher was made for the film by knife designer Herman Schneider. Sylvester Stallone asked Schneider to create a knife that audiences would never forget. Cobretti, excuse me. Cobretti uses a custom Colt Gold Cup national match 1911 modified to chamber 9x19 millimeter Parabellum. Later in the film, he uses a Jatomatic submachine gun. I believe the submachine gun is what's in the movie poster, and it's got a white laser beam coming out of the top. The first rough cut was over 2 hours long. The closest estimated original running time is 130 minutes. It was then shortened to roughly 2-hour director's cut, which was intended to be released in theaters. However, after Top Gun became a smash hit, Stallone and Warner Brothers were worried that Cobra, which would premiere the following week, would be overshadowed. So, in order to ensure at least one extra screening each day, the movie was heavily re edited. Stallone removed much of the plot and scenes involving characters other than his own. Warner Brothers also demanded that the more graphic scenes be cut down or removed entirely because they were too intense, and that some action scenes be cut for pacing. This is a problem with the movie right here. I think Stallone was on the right track with his original ideas, and Warner Brothers just completely ruined everything. And they let Brigitte Nielsen run wild. I don't know why she's in this movie. She was not a good choice. Just because she happened to be Stallone's wife, she's going to be in his movies? What the heck is that? The extended television version of the film is approximately 6 minutes longer than the theatrical release. When first submitted to the MPAA, the film received an X rating, necessitating even more cuts. They should have just left it X-rated. The musical score was composed by Sylvester. An audio cassette and vinyl version were released on September 21st, 1986, followed by CD, which was released in 1992 as the original motion picture soundtrack. Stanton Bush's song The Touch, heard in the Transformers the movie, 1986, was originally written for Cobra. It is said Feel the Heat was overheard during the filming of its music video by Jean Bavor when they were editing in the same building complex, and it was added because Stallone loved the song. I don't know any of these musicians except for Gladys Knight. Loving on Borrowed Time, the love theme from Cobra. I guess I should put Gladys Knight's name in the description for the music credit. Cobra opened the widest for a Warner Brothers release at the time, opening on 2,131 screens, and it debuted at number one at the box office. Lamestream, with a Memorial Day weekend debut of $15.7 million. It eventually went on to gross $160 million, over 6 times its estimated $25 million budget. Amazing. According to the New York Times, the film was still considered a disappointment because its $48 million at the box office in the U.S. did not live up to the success of Rambo. They should have just made Rambo 4. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film had an approval rating of 17% based on 23 reviews, with an average rating of 3.4 out of 10. I'm being generous with the 6 out of 10. The website consensus reads, a disengaged Sylvester Stallone plays the titular Cobra with no bite in this leaden action thriller, queasily fixated on wanton carnage and nothing else. Yeah, shoot first, ask questions later. Because these people are psychopaths. They deserve to die. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 25 out of 100 based on 9 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Big surprise. 25 out of 100. That's 2.5 out of 10. That is a very low critic weighted average. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film a grade B on a scale of A to F. TV Guide stated that Stallone's character is an empty Hulk The few attempts to provide us with little insights into his character are downright laughable. He can't act. Nina Darton of the New York Times opined the film pretends to be against the wanton violence of a disintegrating society, but it's really the apotheosis of that violence. It shows such contempt for the most basic U.S. values. Yeah, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth leaves everybody blind. And Vincent Canby called it disturbing for violence it portrays, the ideas it represents, and the large number of people who would undoubtedly go to see it and cheer on its dangerous hero. Sheila Benson of the Los Angeles Times panned the film, saying Cobra's pretentious emptiness, its dumbness, its two-faced morality make it a movie that begs to be laughed off. Variety called it a sleek, extremely violent, and exciting police thriller and compared Cobra favorably to Rocky and Rambo. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune compared Cobra to Dirty Harry when giving the film 2.5 stars and summarizing it as Filthy Harry. He wrote, whereas Clint Eastwood simply would have squinted at Robinson, Stallone takes a more violent approach. Maybe that's the difference between actors. Eastwood can be droll. Stallone more often crosses the border to primeval. Yeah, I know what's best for you stupid people. So let me put me in charge of the law and I'll take care of everything. Siskel and Ebert, Roger Ebert, did not give the film a feature review on their TV show, but both gave it a negative attention during the late 1986 segment on new video releases, in which Siskel noted that the film had a great opening sequence, the supermarket hostage scene, and it couldn't maintain the momentum. I agree. This film started going downhill right in the middle. And I don't normally agree with Gene Siskel. Ebert lamented that Stallone was squandering his talent and vast potential. In the 1996 movie guide, seen that, now what? The film was given the rating of C-, stating the film is a graceless vigilante thriller that's strictly for hardcore action junkies. Well, Karate Man likes this movie. He thinks it's a great action film. The then U.S. President Ronald Reagan viewed this film at Camp David on June 6, 1986. Cobra was nominated for 6 Razzie Awards, including Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Sylvester Stallone, Worst Actress, Brigitte Nielsen. They should have gotten awards for Worst Actor and Worst Actress, Worst Supporting Actor, and Worst New Star, both for Brian Thompson, and Worst Screenplay. So you've got 4 Worst Actor awards here. They don't like the film and they don't like the screenplay. Director Nicholas Winding Refn is a fan of Cobra. In Refn's cult film Drive, the main character has a toothpick in his mouth in some scenes. This is Refn's homage to the opening scene where Stallone has a matchstick in his mouth. The main star of the film, Ryan Gosling, also said in an interview that he is a fan of Stallone and Cobra, which is why he borrowed his character's toothpick habit from Cobra. In 1986, the film was made into a video game by Ocean Software for the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, and Amstrad CPC. In 1987, Canon Films, along with Warner Brothers, attempted to make a sequel, Cobra Part 2, but the film never materialized. That would have been an interesting film. In 2019, a television series was in development with Robert Rodriguez serving as director creator. As of 2024, it is not known if this project is still in development. The saga of Cobra continues to this day. All right, let's pull up Cobra on IMDb. 1 hour. This is 1986. It's only 1 hour 27 minutes. Should have been 2 hours. Rated X. Original script. That's my 2 cents after worth nothing after inflation. It gets a 5.8 out of 10. 82,000 ratings. In terms of popularity, it is 4,363 on the popularity list, down 556. So my rating is very close to the average on the IMDb. Don't tell me I should rate it 10 out of 10. A tough-on-crime street cop must protect the only surviving witness, his real-life wife, to a strange murderous cult with far-reaching plans. They're going to go about bringing a new order by blowing up a supermarket and a hospital. Well, maybe not a hospital, but they're going to blow up the roads and do things like that. More like this, we've got Tango and Cash, which is also on my list. Over the Top, which is a terrible movie. The Specialist with Sharon Stone, back when she was actually quite good looking. And then you've got Lockup, another Stallone film. A very rare work print of the movie has circulated among fans. Although most copies are poor quality, it has 30 to 40 minutes of footage not available in any other version. It also has all of the X-rated material removed from the final release. In the scene where he bumps the Hispanic gangster's car to park his car and he argues with them and he tells them he's bad for their health, he rips the man's white undershirt and a taped lapel mic is clearly visible on the man's chest and again in the subsequent scene. Marion Cobretti is quoted as saying, "You're a disease and I'm the cure." In the early 1990s, a different version of Cobra was broadcast on TV. Here's a list of differences between normal version and TV edit. 1. Opening hostage scene. Alternate shot when gang member shoots with his shotgun. He shoots 2 times on fruits, but in TV cut, one of these is close-up shot of fruits exploding. Alternate dialogue. TV cut. You looking at the Brave Hunter, DVD uncut. You looking at the effing Hunter. Close up of knife in gang member's belly is cut. Line, don't listen to this a-hole from Gonzalez is cut. 2, Cobra arrives home. Every few seconds, dialogue scene during the Cobra's argument with the lowrider. Cobra turns around and he says something like, "Don't dirty the United States, keep it clean." Cobra talks briefly with the old janitor. "How you doing?" "You're doing really good job here." Then crosses woman coming down the stairs with her dog, checks her mailbox and goes to her apartment. Song Suave is playing longer in this extended scene. 3, aftermath of first murder. Extra scene about the first night slasher murder in which young Asian kid brings box to in police station. Cop tells the kid to stay inside and go pick himself one of the toys from the box on the other side of the room. While kid is checking the toys, cop takes the box and sees blood dripping from bottom. He then receives a phone call in which Night Slasher says something like, "Her hands are with you, but her soul is in the new world." Cop tells some other cop to trace the call, and scene cuts to the regular autopsy scene for a gang during the day. After Cobra shoots paper target, an extra scene is shown. Night Slasher is at his day job cutting fish in some factory. Sniper guy is working in some garage, and there is a shot of him looking at electric wires in the police precinct where Cobra shoots the target. A side view of some police officers' hands and forearms is shown while they're shooting paper targets. One of them is shown with the gang's tattoo, a skull of axes on his forearm. Couple shots of gang performing their axes and hammers ritual are also shown. Music during these scenes is the same one that was used for the opening credits. Ingrid in the studio parking lot attack. In the photo studio, Ingrid is asked to go to a party, but she refuses. Rash, the photographer, talks with her a bit, and Ingrid requires a security guard to go with her to her car because she feels nervous. Death scene of guy with the glasses is cut. Death scene of security guard is cut. He's not shown getting hit by the van. Slasher's place hospital. Shot of Night Slasher cutting his finger is cut. Alternate dialogue. TV cut. Friggin' liar. DVD cut. Effin' liar. Attack on Cobra. Extended version of apartment attack. Sniper arrives in the car. Guy in the street looks at Cobra's place and he puts his mask on. Excuse me. Two shots of two guys climbing up the stairs armed with axes are shown. They continue to climb and then cut the light while Sniper is looking from his car. Later, when he sees one of the guys shot by Cobra falling down, Sniper starts the car and he escapes. Some violence and blood are cut during the fight between Cobra and gang members. Hospital attack. Shot of Night Slasher walking across the hallway with blood on his glove holding the knife is cut. Alternate shot of Cobra's arrival. Close-up of Slasher's body glove is cut. After the attacks, alternate dialogue, TV cut. Damn. DVD uncut. GD. Line, enough of this BS from one of the cops is cut. Instead, he talks longer with Cobra. Number 10, after the chase, extended scene where Cobra says, "There is a leak in the police." Bald cop asks him a question. 11, feel the heat. Extended dialogues between Cobra and Ingrid during the drive where he says that he never left California. And after some more dialogue, Cobra says, same joke about football that ends with the line, "Have you seen my legs?" In restaurant, Gonzalez asks Stock, will she sexually assault him afterwards? After Cobra and Ingrid start to kiss, there's an extra shot showing some old guy watching the motel from his house across the street and pulling the curtain. 12, Talent Attack, extra scene where old guy is watching Dial M for Murder, which is exactly the same movie as what I'm watching right now. Believe it or not. I'm almost done with Dial M for Murder. Dial M for Murder on television. I'm watching it on YouTube. Some wires are shown being cut. Woman is washing dishes in the kitchen. Sniper is shown behind the window. Somebody catches woman's hair from behind. Shots of old man watching TV and smoking pipe are shown. Woman's shadow is shown where she is killed, and the killer's shadow, considering the haircut, implies that the killer is Night Slasher. Sniper breaks window with axe. Old guy is strangled quickly. His pipe falls down to the ground. Close-up shot of Parrot getting nervous is shown. And then zoom on Sniper face. 13, final showdown. Death scene of Sniper is cut. Shots of him burning alive are cut. Night Slasher's death scene is cut. He's only shown impaled for a few seconds, but the parts of him hanging on the hood, screaming, going in the fire, and getting burned are cut. Extra scene after the shootout. Cobra and Ingrid are walking out of the factory when 3 cops show up and they point shotguns at them. Cobra then says, "You guys missed the hell of a party." He also tells them that he is a cop, and when one of the other cops says that he wants answers now, Cobra says something else and then leaves. This was featured in John Bonavar, Feel the Heat, 1986. Feel the Heat, produced, arranged, composed, and performed by John Bonavar, courtesy of Columbia Records and Virgin Records. I was not impressed with the soundtrack, by the way. And I know some of the elements of this was copied in Kung Fury. The tough guy cop who doesn't get along with his coworkers. Here's a more admiring review from somebody named Van Dam Kick. This guy's name is Van Dam Kick. His review is August 1st, 2003, and he's saying this is very underrated. This film deserves more credit than it has received. Stallone is looking great with tight jeans and a stubble, chewing on a matchstick, which comes in handy in the final bloodshed showdown. You have the right to remain silent. Stallone plays Marion Cabretti in a superb, action-packed thriller filled with one-liners and a funny relationship with his partner played by Reni Santoni, sexual tension with his female witness in protective custody played by his then-wife, Brigitte Nielsen. That didn't last very long. And a raging fury from Stallone intent on eliminating the ruthless killers headed by Brian Thompson. Arnold Schwarzenegger rips his heart out in The Terminator, and Jean-Claude Van Damme knocks him out with one kick and Lionheart. These people mean business, and Andrew Robinson, Scorpio, and Dirty Harry thinks that a subtle solution can easily be thought of to take them out, but it is only Stallone's violent tactics that can ultimately save the day. You fight fire with fire. Essentially, Rambo with the badge, with the heart of Rocky. Stallone fans will be very pleased in a film that combines all areas of cinema, not just action, comedy, romance, and a great cast complement. This already great cast, really? Complement this already excellent film that Stallone has written, which incorporates material from Beverly Hills Cop when he was meant to play Axel Foley. Better than Eddie Murphy played it, because Stallone has a chance to make this 2 years on. Trivia: Eddie Murphy looks at the Cobra poster in Judge Reinhold's bedroom in Beverly Hills Cop 2 that Brigitte Nielsen is also in. If you like the Dirty Harry films, Steven Seagal cop films, and a Stallone fan in general, this is a great film with excellent soundtrack. You've got to be kidding me. Excellent soundtrack. Talking of Steven Seagal and soundtracks, on the trailer of Seagal's Mark for Death, it features Chase, a Sylvester LeVay track from Cobra. I don't even know if I have Marked for Death on my list. Karate Man probably knows. Gladys Knight. All right. So I like where this film was going. I didn't think it was all bad. It had some good points in the beginning. It had one decent explosion, I think. Out of the whole film, only one decent explosion. What disappointment. No nudity. No explosions. Boring dialogue between Sylvester Stallone and his real wife. And her perm hairdo. Stallone probably divorced her because of her perm hairdo. Brian Thompson was also in 2 Van Damme movies, Lionheart and The Orderer, which both directed by Sheldon Lettich. He was the bad guy in Perfect Target with Daniel Bernhardt, which is also from Sheldon Lettich. Coincidentally, both Andrew Robinson and Brian Thompson were in separate episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger with Chuck Norris. And of course, Andrew Robinson and the guy who plays Cobra's cop partner were both in Dirty Harry. Yeah, I know that. I already said that. Karate Man restates the trivia tidbits that I've already talked about numerous times. And of course, Andrew Robinson, the guy who plays Cobra's cop partner, were both in Dirty Harry. Oh, I see what he's saying. Okay. So I missed Cobra's partner was in Dirty Harry. I didn't even recognize him. I recognize the Scorpio dude, but I didn't recognize his partner. It's not a coincidence. They are ripping off Dirty Harry, in my view. They're making Dirty Harry's disrespect for natural rights even more pronounced in this one. All right. So the first one is Dial M for Murder, 1954. We just talked about that. I'm almost done watching. Radioactive Dreams, 1985. And Tango and Cash, 1989. That's one of the similar movies to Cobra. More like this. So I guess Karate Man had the had a similar kind of thing on my list where he was in the more like this section of IMDb, but he didn't even realize it. I'll probably do 3 more. I'll probably do 2 more today. I don't really feel like taking a nap. And then 3 more on Monday. That's what I'm going to shoot for. I mentioned that to Adrian when he was in the chat room yesterday. So I'll try to do 6 in 3 days. Laters.